buenas tardes. Como sabéis, el Goya Internacional de 2026 es la extraordinaria actriz Susan Sarandon. No hace falta que os explique los motivos que nos llevaron a la Junta Directiva de la Academia a decidir el nombre de Susan Sarandon para que nos acompañara este año en la Gala de los Goya. Es una actriz con una extensísima carrera que desde comienzos de los años 70 está iluminándonos con maravillosas interpretaciones en todos los géneros y estilos y todas ellas con una intensidad extraordinaria y al mismo tiempo con un sentido del humor a prueba de bomba. Susan Sarandon además es una mujer con un compromiso con su tiempo y con el mundo en que vive, que ha demostrado en muchísimas ocasiones, y esto también nos hizo pensar que sería el Goya Internacional mejor para esta gala. Así que os dejo con Susan Sarandon. Muchas gracias por acudir. Estamos muy contentos de estar en Barcelona celebrando el 40 aniversario de la Gala de los Goya.
Gracias. Where would I put it?
Compañeros, empezamos. A partir de ahora tenemos como 30 minutos. Por favor, levantar la mano y os vamos dando paso. ¿Vale? De acuerdo.
Thank you very much, Susan. Congratulations. Here, please. Here. Sorry. Congratulations. We come from the Basque country. We are Basque TV. Our language is the Basque, the Euskera.
I'm understanding you perfectly.
Thank you. I know that you have been in the Basque country in San Sebastian Film Festival. And the question is, what do you think about Basque cinema? What do you think about the Basque country? Thank you very much.
I can't say that I know a lot about Basque film. You know, I don't, honestly. I mean, I love the country there. What is going on now there? The last time I was there, there were women marching with the pictures of their men that were held in jails far away, and they were trying to get them to come closer. So what is going on now in the Basque country that I should know about? Can you tell me? Oh, is he not going to answer my question? Well, so far this is going well. What's happening? So that happened.
Thank you. I'm sorry,
Okay.
Susan.
Yes.
In these awards, we have many nominations of the Basque Country. So we are very happy with the Basque cinema. On my question, my my question was like that. Thank you very much.
Well, maybe I can get a link and see some of the films. Yes?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks so much.
Yes, thank you.
Hi, Susan here. I'm José Fernández from Spanish Public Television. Y te quería preguntar, durante todos estos años de carrera, ¿en qué momento has sido más feliz? ¿En alguna de tus películas o en algunos de tus actos políticos donde intentas que vivamos en un mundo mejor?
Wow, that's so funny. I don't have a choice about activism. I think that's just necessary, and when people don't have a voice, I feel it's my responsibility to help them have a voice. But I can't say that it's the most fun times I've ever had. There's a lot of negative ramifications for being outspoken. But I'm always happy when I'm filming. I make it a point to have a good time when I'm filming because I love the community of filming. I love the crew. I love, being able to be in a different time, in a different place. So I am happiest with my family, but second comes in filming, for sure. And I think it would be really great to be filming with my family. I think that would be like a double dip, But activism moves me to be with dedicated people who want the same thing. But sometimes it can also be quite lonely.
Hola, Javier Zurro de eldiario.es. It's maybe a follow-up of that question. What do you think about this discussion nowadays about if artists should talk about politics or should be committed with politics? Because it's a discussion that we had in Berlinale and these weeks. Thank you very much.
Thank you for asking me that question, because I disagree with that whole group and what they said. I believe all films, all stories are political. They either reinforce the status quo or they challenge the status quo. And we call them political when they challenge the status quo. But every film tells you who to root for, what is funny, what it means to be a woman, what it means to be a man, and what your system of justice is. So there's a film called The Nutty Professor that, I don't know if you know that, with Eddie Murphy. Yeah. And in that film, they get you to root for the girl to be with the fat guy. And it puts you in the perspective of what it means to comedy. So the Dead Man Walkings of the world, people say, are political because they're obviously about an issue. But I think they're all political, and that's why as an actor and a writer and a director, you have to be very careful what you're putting out into the world. Who is the enemy? Who is the enemy right now in all films? It shifts, right? And I think that they're all political.
Hi, sorry, Maria Guerra, Quinótico. Thank you so much for being here. It's such an honor just speaking to you. You belong to a generation of actors who spoke openly about politics. And now somehow we feel that Hollywood is a bit silent about Trump's policies. So what do you think about this silence?
I think it's very dangerous. I think that we should be able to speak our minds without being threatened to never work again. And that is happening. I don't know, Hollywood went through the, what was it called? The commission where you were called un-American and people killed themselves and were banished and couldn't work and writers couldn't work. So Hollywood has never been political. Hollywood cares if you get old. They care if you get fat. But if your movie makes money, they don't mind. You know what I'm saying? Hollywood I think it's a myth that Hollywood is left. I don't think that's true. I think there are small films that get made and some big films that get made, but Hollywood doesn't have a history of being, when the times get tough, they are not left-leaning or progressive. They mostly speak for whatever the power of the situation is. So I don't know that through all the blacklisting, you know, we look at that period and that was pretty much what we're going through now.
Hola, aquí. Hola, Susan. Te quería preguntar, bueno, en primer lloc, agrair la teva visita i preguntar-te també sobre els conflictes. Parlaves de que Hollywood potser no s'ha posicionat prou, però volia saber doncs, la teva posició amb algun dels conflictes candents ara mateix, i parlo del conflicte que hi ha als Estats Units amb la policia fronterera, amb l'ICE, i també doncs, del genocidi a Gaza.
What did you want to know about that?
Your opinion about the ICE, for example, or for the Gaza genocide?
My opinion or Hollywood's opinion?
No, your opinion. I know that Hollywood doesn't speak about this, but I want to know your opinion.
I believe every nation has the right to self-determination. I'm very pro-Palestinian. I'm very much about, I'm an artist for peace and justice. I'm against killing children everywhere. ICE is very unconstitutional and doing all kinds of illegal things to mostly black and brown people. And what they're doing is illegal, and I'm very proud of the communities that have managed to find a way to fight against ICE, and I think that's what it's going to take, because no one at the top is going to save us from any of these things. But I personally feel very strongly that the annihilation of the Palestinian people is a horrible crime, and I'm very ashamed to be paying for that.
Soy de la televisión pública española. Hoy, cuando les he dicho en mi entorno que iba a estar contigo, con Susan Sarandon, todos mis amigos, todo mi entorno, pues estaba muerto de envidia. Y me sorprende una mujer que, como vemos, es muy comprometida, despierta aquí en España un cariño tan generalizado. ¿Qué sientes tú al recibir un premio como el Goya Internacional?
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I'm very, 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 very happy to be here. First of all, I love Barcelona. The museums, the food, the music, the industry, the actors. I just think Spain is doing an amazing job, and also, and I know this is going to make me cry, in a place where you feel repression and censorship, to see Spain and to see the president and what he says and what the support that he's giving about Gaza, and to have actors like Javier Bardem and come forward with such a strong voice is so important to us in the United States. I can't tell you, when you turn on the TV and you see how strong Spain is and how clear that you are morally about these issues, it makes you feel less alone, and it makes you feel that there is hope because of you all, and the fact that you just don't hear that on television in the United States. You don't know that that exists. And when someone stands up so strongly, when a nation stands up, and I include Ireland in this too, I can't tell you how very important it is to those of us who are trying in an atmosphere that is very difficult. when we see that kind of strength and moral clarity, how much it means to us. So I thank you.
Hola. So you have to come to live here, maybe. Pepa Blanes, de Cadena Ser Radio. Yo quería preguntarte, has hecho todo tipo de papeles en tu carrera, papeles con el que muchas nos hemos identificado o hemos visto referentes. Ahora trabajas menos. Yo quería preguntarte a qué se debe que trabajes menos, si llegan menos papeles, si existen listas negras en Hollywood y por eso llegan menos papeles, o si es que no te interesan los papeles que te llegan.
The very first November, I was fired by my agency, specifically for marching and speaking out about Gaza, for asking for a ceasefire. And it became impossible for me to even be on television. I don't know lately if it's changed, but, and I couldn't do any major film. Anything connected with, Hollywood. I found agents ultimately in England and in Italy, and I have worked there. I just did a film in Italy, and I did a play at the Old Vic for a number of months. But I know that, this Italian director that just hired me, he was told not to hire me. So that's still recently. He didn't listen, but they had that conversation. So right now I kind of specialize in tiny films with directors who have never directed and, are independent films and films that are in Europe or in Italy and, So that's the main reason I haven't been working as much.
Javi Bañez from Universo. My answer was stolen before, so I have to improvise another one. What do you think? You told about the Spanish government. You feel good here in Spain. What do you think exactly about the Spanish Prime Minister, Pedro Sánchez?
That handsome guy, that tall, handsome guy. Well, I don't know that much about him, except that whenever I've seen him, he has been on the right side of history, and also said it in a very clear way. So I think he's going to be there tomorrow night, so maybe I'll get more information.
Nice to meet you.
Thank
Garcia
you.
From Cameo. You've done everything in your career. What do you think still have left to do?
Interesting. Direct porn. I don't know. I like working on films because I like the community. And so I don't mind doing little parts, big parts, happy parts, comedies, and I'm very content to keep doing that. There's still people that, directors I'd love to work with. And yeah, does that answer your question? Yeah.
Hello, this is Lara Malvesi from the Spanish Newswire EFE. I have two quick questions. First of all, you were so moved talking about Spain. I wonder if you will follow other artists and maybe left the US and live here in Spain, where I think many directors would cast you. And a second one, a short one, I think you kept your Oscar in the bathroom. I wonder where you will put your Goya. Thank you so much.
Well, I have worked with Richard Gere a number of times. Maybe he'll let me come stay at his house. I don't know. I have children and grandchildren, and I just can't leave them, really. I just can't. So I love the idea of spending time working with other people in other countries. I talked to Pedro Almodovar about why doesn't he cast me in anything? Couldn't he find a movie where there's a stupid American that can't speak Spanish and she has a relationship with someone that does speak Spanish? And how funny and interesting that would be, because that happens, right? But so far he hasn't cast me, so I don't know, and maybe I'll find some other directors now that could find some way to take advantage of the fact that I don't speak Spanish. I speak some Italian because I have a child, an Italian child, so I did live in Italy for a while. Maybe if I came here, I would learn to speak Spanish. I don't know, but it's so seductive. Spain, it just has so much that's beautiful about Spain and sensual, and that I could see myself living here for a while, but I can't really. I mean, my grandkids are little, you know, so I feel like even when I'm away for a week, they've changed so much, so I hate being away for any period of time.
Hola.
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 I spoke Spanish.
José Manuel Romero, de la cadena SER. Le quería preguntar, porque aunque ha dejado claro que no tiene mucha confianza en Hollywood, sí que hay un cambio en los últimos años con muchas actrices y mujeres pasándose a producir las películas. ¿Sí siente que ese es un gran cambio para las mujeres, el haber decidido pasar a la producción, y si es algo que echó en falta en su generación de haber tener ese lugar de poder quizá en la industria?
I did produce Stepmom and Dead Man Walking, and I'm producing a film that I'm going to do now. But I don't think Hollywood is changing. I think there are women that are in the position to get more films made, and hopefully they won't make the same mistakes that have been made before. But I think the first wave of something that was really different came a number of years ago when all of those female comedians made movies, and suddenly that was the first, group of independent female producers that really made successes. Were a wave of comedies that women did, but there are a lot of women producing now actors, and I think that's fabulous, and I think it will continue. There's a lot of, the problem is not getting a movie made. The problem is, where do you put it? You don't have those little cinemas that you used to have that I could see a lot of foreign films in anymore. They're all been taken over by these conglomerates, as everything has been, right? So if you do a little independent film, and of course it goes to festivals, and you're trying to find a way that you can get it seen. So what we need is not just people producing independent films. We need some kind of a platform to see those films. There's a platform called Watermelon Films that has scooped up a lot of the films that are about Palestinians or related in some way to that kind of a historical event. But there aren't places to put these gems, these little independent, beautiful films, unless someone finds it and really champions it. Because if it doesn't cost a lot to make, studios don't want to put a lot of money into it if it's not theirs, So I think that it's wonderful that so many films are being made, but we have to find some way that they can be seen.
Here, Spanish agency, EFE. Here. Since Thelma and Louise movie, how do you think that feminism has changed?
What has changed?
Feminism.
Has feminism changed? I'm not sure I even know what everybody, it's like communism, feminism. Everybody has a different idea of what feminism is, different idea of what communism is, all these isms. I think that, as you said, there's more women that are telling women's stories, and I think that's really important. And there's a lot of women that are have their businesses have more choice about whether or not you have a child. In the United States, we seem to be going backwards about all of that. So I don't include just feminism in the United States, because between the banning of contraception and abortion and all of the other things that are being passed now that there's been a real attempt to erase women from jobs and from history, especially women of color. So I think in a way we're going backwards, but I don't know what feminism is doing. I mean, if feminism means women get the same amount of pay, women get the same choices, I think it's a little shaky at the moment. I don't know how you feel about it in Spain. Do you feel that that's happening here? In terms of feminism, do you think, are you, no? Yes.
Mi pregunta tiene que ver con la de la compañera. Usted empezó en un momento donde se hacían un montón de películas donde las mujeres siempre eran salvadas por un hombre, pero usted nunca ha hecho ese tipo de personajes. Sus personajes son valientes, son autosuficientes, y en un momento quizás dio voz a esas mujeres. Ahora es más fácil hablar de feminismo, pero en ese momento quizás no lo fue tanto. Susan, ¿qué piensa sobre esta apreciación?
Well, Robert Redford tried to save me on the wing of a plane, and I died. So he didn't do a very good job of saving me in that movie. I'm trying to think through everything. God, I've done so many films. I'm so old. I have to say that, you know, when I get a question like that, I don't feel like my characters are that brave. I feel like they do what they have to do, but it's not easy, which isn't the same thing. When I was helping write Dead Man Walking, one of the things about Sister Helen that was so interesting was that she didn't start off as a hero. She just kept getting deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper because of circumstances and because of questions. And she eventually became the woman that she was. But it wasn't, it's not like men when they're heroes in films and they just come through the door shooting. I had a real problem with Thelma and Louise because I said to Ridley, I don't want to do a revenge film. I think she feels after she's inadvertently killed that man that she has to pay a price. And that's what makes her different than a man doing a revenge film. It's not making her happy. She's trying to understand what happened. I think revenge is so cheap. So in a way, somehow I got this reputation for playing really strong women, but they never feel like they really are on top of it to me. And I think that's what life's about, is you just keep going forward, even when you don't know what you're doing and it costs you a lot. You just keep moving. And that's what they feel like more, you know, that even when they're brave, it costs them.
Hello, Susan. My name is David Martos from Quinótico.
Hola.
You just said that you're going to produce a new film. My question is, why haven't you directed your own films? And if you were to direct, whose steps would you follow? Any filmmakers come to mind? Thank you.
I just can't deal with the suits. Do you know what that means? Like I don't think I could work within a system where there's 8 people at the monitor watching and telling you what tie he should be wearing. That kind of filmmaking doesn't interest me. But a small film, a very small, you know, with few people and with a very intimate crew, that does interest me. I guess for a while I didn't do theater, and I was very careful about when I worked because I was raising my children. and I was very hands-on. And I've lived with a few directors, and I know how much time it takes to direct a film. And not just the film, that's the easy part. Then afterwards, all the fighting about the poster and the distribution and where's the money, and that doesn't appeal to me at all. So I'm trying to stay happy in my life, you know, and I don't know if it's worth it to really take on those headaches. So the films that I've produced have been small. This one that I'm going to do in May is a friend of mine who it will be his first movie that he's directed. It's with friends and like-minded people and very tiny. So I can make decisions about that, but I'm not interested really in... At the end of the day, around 7 o'clock, I don't really care where the truck is parked. You know, that's the kind of... You have to be so kind of obsessive about certain things that don't matter to me, you know, at all. I'm focused more on what happens between the people, and you know, to do 35 trucks because the wind is blowing, I'm just not that kind of person. So maybe I won't end up directing. That might be next time round, I don't know.
Oh, well, hi, Susan, Matthias here. Thank you for your time. I wanted to ask you, we'll talk a lot about politics today, but I wanted to ask you about the future for cinephiles and for cinephiles who care about politics. Yeah, bad administrations come and go, fascist regimes come and go, but what's next for us? What's next for American citizens? What's next for cinephiles who care about politics? Thank you.
I don't know. I mean, what's next? I think that we're watching a lot of the systems fall apart. I think we're watching the young people who are not obedient to their parents' affiliations ask some really important questions about the environment. I mean, the world that they're being left with because of the greed and the violence and the short-mindedness of a lot of our leaders and the takeover by corporate everything, right? And I put my faith in them, and I put my faith in young filmmakers too, who are finding ways to tell. I don't think of myself as a filmmaker, I think of myself as a storyteller. And I think of this group as a group of storytellers, whether or not you're writing a book or a song or reporting in a newspaper, you're telling a story. And I think stories will always be there. Storytellers have always been on the outside, and somehow they always survive. In every culture had to have storytellers from the very beginning of time. So strangely enough, those of us who've always been on the outside and had no permanence, no guarantees, are ending up in better shape than the people that had jobs that they thought they could count on, because everything's falling apart. At least where I come from, everything's falling apart. And so I think we have to think of what the communities will be. What will the structure be? Because these systems are not doing very well. And I don't know what that answer is, except that it has something to do with community. So I believe in that. And I hope that as things fall apart and there are more spaces for new leaders, that those leaders are brave and principled and care about the right things. And what we have to do, I think, is spend a lot more time listening than talking, and hear each other. And because really everybody needs and wants the same things. As an actor, that's what happens. You have kind of an enforced, you have so many lives. So you find yourself feeling things that you never thought you were capable of. You find yourself having more compassion, less judgment, because you don't know what it's like to be in that situation. And what's so fabulous about films is that you get to learn in small doses about these bubbles that you don't know anything about, these times in history, what it means to be that kind of a worker, what it means to be trying to raise the kids here, you know, and it makes you so much more generous because you understand how we're all connected. And that's the one thing we can't lose, is that connectedness and storytelling, especially when you go into a dark theater and you can just be defenseless and watch a story about something you didn't know anything about, or a person that you thought you didn't like, or, you know, it affects you, and you leave that theater looking at the world a little bit differently, at least for a few hours. You know, I remember Wings of Desire, that I remember leaving the theater after that and just being blown away, and everywhere I looked I was seeing angels, and you know, or The Conformist. Bertolucci's Conformist was the first time I saw a film that did something so drastically different. I didn't even really know what it was about. And I saw it recently, and the way that it's filmed and that story is told is just so modern and so interesting. And this is, you know, I'm so proud to be part of this community, as everybody is who watches film and talks about film and writes, because that can make a big difference in how we look at each other and how we forgive each other and love each other.
Última pregunta, por favor.
Here, Ana Utiel from Onda Cero. Maybe it's a difficult question because you cannot take sides, but I wanted to know if you had the opportunity to watch some of the films that are nominated tomorrow, and I wanted to know if you have an opinion about some of them. And
you're very dangerous.
I know. I don't know. Or at least an opinion about the current situation of Spanish cinema, if it's a better question for you.
Tell me to give me an example. I don't know necessarily Spanish cinema.
About the films that are...
Yeah, which film are you tricking me with here?
For example, Sirat, which is also...
All right, that killed me. Spoiler alert if anyone hasn't seen it yet. When the kid goes over in the car, I was like, now anything can happen. And I stupidly told my son to see it. And he came in the house saying, why did you send me to this film? I'm never going to be able to sleep again. What was that about? Couldn't they have just danced for 2 hours? What's going on? So I thought that was, I mean, sometimes what happens to me when I'm watching a film is that I also feel bad for the actors, because I'm thinking, well, how are they dehydrating in the desert? You know, I start to think, oh my God, it's so cold. They must have been dying. So for that film, I mean, I thought it was amazing, and I think I'm sitting next to that director, they told me so, who's apparently quite tall. Yeah, so is my son, who said, why did you send me to that film? But I thought it was remarkable that they did it. I would love to know how, and I'm not quite sure what the point is, but if you're talking about cinema bringing you into a world that you don't know, he definitely... accomplished that. And so it was very dramatic, very cinematic. But, you know, it was, someone said it was disturbing. It's much more than disturbing. I mean, it's scarring, I think, that film. Yeah.
Muchísimas gracias. Voy a pedirle a Susan.
Gracias.
People take a picture of you now? Sure. Thanks so much. Para que los compañeros puedan hacer una foto tranquilos, que se va a poner. Muchas gracias.
Chicos, vale.